Let's chat about it now with our Patriots insider, Jeff Howe, who joins us from Pittsburgh. He, of course, from The Athletic Boston. And there are some big picture questions, which we're going to get into. Obviously, people want to talk about that. But specifically, Jeff, today, what was it about the scene in Pittsburgh that led to the Patriots playing such sloppy football?
I mean, it was just another week when you can't figure out this team. The last week, go into the game thinking the defense had it all figured out. They had probably their worst performance of the season. This week, you go into it thinking the offense has it all figured out against an opponent that Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski have historically throttled, and they never really got it going. And it was the penalties. You look at, an early hold against Trent Brown, wipes out a 25-yard run from Sony Michel. They punt on that possession. You've got a John Jones defensive pass interference call that precedes an early touchdown for the Steelers. And there were, late. You got a couple holds in the red zone that backed them up. One of them was a couple plays before Tom Brady's interception, which is now on the very short list, however you want to argue it, with this interception last week, getting the sack before halftime, one of his two worst plays of the entire season. You had another hold on that final chance to try to tie the game that backs you up to the 21 instead of taking a snap on the 11. So again, all of these penalties, it wasn't just the fact that they had 14 penalties plus another one that was declined. It was the fact that these penalties were directly costing the Patriots points.
Let's stir it up a little bit. Let's talk about Tom. You talked about the two plays, one last week, one this week, the interception. You tried to get out of bounds. How much concern should we have? Because obviously as someone ages, you have some concern about the skills deteriorating. There has been a track record here this year of some struggle at the quarterback position. Am I overreacting? I'm not saying he's terrible, obviously, but what's your take on how Tom Brady's playing as this season wraps up?
Honestly, I mean, I understand it, and you look back at the knee issue that he had during the Gronkowski, or right after that Gronkowski touchdown pass in Miami, but that throw that he had to Edelman on that final drive, I mean, that was a dart, however many yards downfield it was. That's as good of a throw as you can make, or you can ask him to make. You look at the Patterson throw last week. The velocity's there, the accuracy is there. He's made two boneheaded decisions. The one in Pittsburgh, look, there was a lot of pressure around both edges. Tom Brady felt some heat, didn't want to take a sack in that situation to back up a potential field goal, to upwards or closer to 50 yards. Granted, they would have had another shot at it, but again, he makes a dumb play, and then physically he just doesn't get the ball to the sideline and hangs everybody out to dry. So, again, I mean, it's just another frustrating mistake that he made. I mean, it's not even like, you look at the mistakes, the penalties, the poor play, it's across the board. There aren't a whole lot of people after some of these losses who can go home saying, you know what, I played my best football of the day.
Yeah, good point, good point. So 5 losses, yet still incredibly in the mix for a number 2 seed. That's the kind of season it's been. Now you're rooting for the Texans to lose a game, but the Patriots come back home. They're going to regain some confidence. They're going to play well, most notably against teams that they typically beat up on. How do they turn the page quickly, and how do you have faith that this team is going to be successful in the postseason if they do have to play wild card weekend and then go on the road twice just in the AFC?
Right, it's going to be, it's almost like a trap. I mean, you got to look at it one of two ways. The first way you look at it, like you said, they're returning home for their final 2 games, 2 teams that they're going to kill, they're going to develop some confidence, and then if the Texans fall all over themselves at some point in the next 2 weeks, they're back to where they all started in the number 2 seed. But, you look at it the other way, how much are they really going to be tested? And if they don't get that 2nd seed, you talk about opening up in Wild Card Weekend for the first time since 2009, something they're not used to, and that guarantees if they win that game, they go on the road in the divisional rounds, and there's no way that we can sit here, or they can sit there in the locker room and know for sure that they're going to go out in that divisional round against whoever it happens to be, and all of a sudden just snap their fingers and the road issues are going to be gone. Now, you know what? Maybe you look at it with some rose-colored glasses and you say this team has a ton of talent and they can show up and when it counts or whatever, maybe they're just got their foot off the gas. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe it is something that they can just show up and play with a little more intensity, a little more urgency, and the Patriots that we thought they were going to be at the start of the season will come to life in January. But again, I think that's just blind faith at this point because you've run through your 8-game road schedule, 3-5, and a lot of those road losses, especially earlier in the season, were ugly.
Well, they've earned the blind faith over the course of time, but certainly not this year. As always, Jeff, we appreciate the insight. Safe travels back. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks a lot.